I've been feeling my age lately. Having returned a week and a half ago from Scotland by way of a detour through Pakistan, I am still feeling the effects not only of jet lag, but of several weeks of non-stop work. Work that I may add is a pleasure. There was a time when I would have snapped back in just a few days from a trip like this, but I'm still weary from my travels. I don't say this to garner sympathy, but rather as a jumping off point to look at one of the Ten Commandments, one that I would argue is the most frequently broken of all. Hello, I'm Stuart Baskin, pastor of First Presbyterian Church of Tyler, Texas, and this is your daily devotional for Saturday, November 16th, 2024. The fourth commandment instructs the people of God to remember or to observe the Sabbath day and keep it holy. There are actually two different versions of the commandment in the Bible. In the listing of the commandments in Exodus 20, the commandment commands the people to remember the Sabbath day because God created the universe in 6 days and rested on the seventh. Sabbath rest, in other words, was based on the notion that even God rested after 6 days of labor. But in Deuteronomy, the fourth commandment has a very different reason behind it, one that is decidedly more human. It reads, "Observe the Sabbath day and keep it holy, as the Lord your God commanded you. 6 days you shall labor and do all your work, but the seventh day is a Sabbath to the Lord your God. You shall not do any work, you, or your son or your daughter, or your male or female slave, or your ox or your donkey, or any of your livestock, or the resident alien in your towns, so that your male and female slaves may rest as well as you. Remember that you were a slave in the land of Egypt, and the Lord your God brought you out from there with a mighty hand and an outstretched arm. Therefore the Lord your God commanded you to keep the Sabbath day. Remember that you were a slave in the land of Egypt." Why bring slavery into it? For the simple reason that the Hebrew people, when they were slaves in Egypt, apparently were not given the chance to rest. And God knows that human beings are not capable of non-stop labor. It breaks the body and destroys the soul. And yet, many of us work almost compulsively, even to the detriment of our bodies. And we do it willingly, even willfully. It may be part of our famed Protestant work ethic, which often wrongly equated material success with divine favor, but even our hard-working Reformed forebears took the fourth commandment seriously, at least for themselves. In many Presbyterian households until about the middle of the 20th century, Sunday was a day given to rest. So strict were the rules about rest that most any kind of recreation was considered a violation of the commandment. That may have been a case of taking the commandment and creating a stern legalism out of it, but surely some forms of recreation are ways to rest our minds and our bodies from the grind of work. But today, even when our standard work week is only 5 days and not 6, many of us continue to work long hours, even getting a jump on the week ahead by starting to work on Sunday afternoon. What a shame. You know what it says? It says we believe we are superhuman and do not need the kind of rest the Bible clearly says we do. It says that we don't think we need the kind of rest that God says we do. And so this is, in a real sense, a new form of idolatry, placing our own inflated sense of self above God's sense that we need to rest our weary bones on a regular basis. And you know what? I know what I'm talking about here, because I am one of the chief habitual violators of the fourth commandment. My theoretical work week is Sunday through Thursday, but it is an extremely rare work that I do not work also on Friday and Saturday as well. And of course I have very good reasons for doing so, at least in my own mind. I tell myself that I am somehow indispensable. What a show of ego that is. To which I should say to myself, give it a rest. Take ego out of the equation. Recognize that we have limitations as human beings, and most importantly, receive with gratitude God's gift of Sabbath rest. God knows we need it. And now may God continue to bless you and keep you in all that you do this day and in all the days ahead.